Wolf taking a lot of damage, flashes out, big damage, save, and here comes Marin. He wants Soaz for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but the Slicing Maelstrom buying a lot of time. 1-for-1 in this fight. Mithy gets a knockup onto Bang, and look at the damage output. Bangy's next. Here comes Niels. There's no stopping him now. It's time for SKT to make it to the finals undefeated.
Hello once again and welcome to another edition of Worlds Tonight, coming to you from Brussels Expo after our first semifinal series. And gentlemen, let's talk about this venue. Being in the round one. I love it. Good start. All right, Kobe got it. He got it.
Being up here in the middle and, seeing the seats are all empty now, but like everybody all around, like the full circle plus the teams get to look at each other in the eyes when they're crushing each other.
That's just I'm hoping for some more 500 euro fines as a result of the two teams staring at each other. It's prime. I love the trash talk. It's prime trash talk or trash gesture territory.
I was about to say, come up with their own, like, oh yeah, take that.
Yeah, so something that's not outwardly offensive to other people. It's like, you can't, what is that? I just did this. Because I was actually going to say a similar thing, which is I'm waiting for the stories to come out, post-Worlds, that what things occurred as a result of this, this format or this geography of the stage, how the players felt about it too. What does it change in terms of nerves, actually being able to see the person across from you that you're playing against? That definitely has to change the dynamic of the way you feel when you're on stage.
Honestly, all jokes aside, I don't think it's going to change that much.
Right.
Because you're really absorbed in the game pretty much for the entire duration of the game. You're trying desperately to communicate with the rest of your team. So, looking across and trying to make faces or communicate with the other team seems like a stretch.
No. What you do is you get the solo kill, right, Kobe?
Oh, yeah.
And then
when you're dead, then you have plenty of time.
Yeah, and then the other guy, the guy who solo killed you, he recalls and he just leans out.
Just stares you right in the eye. Yeah, lets you know that he's picking up a BF sword while you only get a pickaxe.
You
and
ace,
come
you
back
ace
and
the other
beat you
team,
again.
and every person on your team at the same time synchronized.
No, everybody just takes their hands right off the keyboards
while they auto push away or something. The other thing that I will say that this arena is very conducive to is audience waves.
Because
it's actually in the round this time around. You don't have to do that up one row and down the other. We even had two waves chasing each other at the same time at one point. It was a lot of fun in terms of the energy of the arena. Also, too.
So you have to do then, right?
What?
Jump off your high horse over there and surf.
Why is it a high horse? First of all,
because you're up on the analyst desk.
Accusing us
because you're standing on a box.
Oh, because Monty's there.
I like that.
there it is. Well, anyway, now moving on to the series at hand, which we saw play out today. Relatively went to chalk in terms of a 3-0 for SKT, but you had said in the postgame that you were pleasantly surprised by Origin and what they had put up in this series.
Yeah, the game one was very good. I don't think the rest of the series went more to my expectation, but I was really impressed that Origin had it in them to get that dominant early game down, because that's something that they were missing the whole tournament. So it made me start to get excited that we were going to have a really good series on our hands. Unfortunately, that didn't end up being the result, but I think Origin came out really strong.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about the early game, because that's something that we saw from them in the EU LCS, so a lot of their success was due to that. But then at Worlds here, it was all about late game, waiting to scale and stuff. So they did show, some of those old strengths as well. And then the decision to go for that Baron, the decisive double teleport. You know what? We got to get something out of this.
We're doing it.
That was a great moment for them as well.
I think the terrifying thing, though, as a result of this series, is seeing the level of composure out of the players on SKT when it comes to being 4.5K down at 30 minutes and being able to pull that back, and then again come out strong in both games 2 and 3.
Well, in a game like League of Legends, where snowballs mean so much and it is easy to escalate an advantage into a winnable situation, that's the hallmark of a good team, right? The ability to play from behind, to wait for your opponents to make a mistake and then take advantage of it. And we saw SK Telecom do that very well.
And the key word there is team, because you can snowball as a team, but we've seen so many times teams here, even at Worlds, they make one crucial mistake in the mid game, and you lose all of that. But SKT making a mistake maybe looks like someone slightly out of position loses 5 seconds on the map and has to walk back the other way or something, or they miss one ward, or Marin ends up overextending and has to blow his flash.
Right. They're few and far between, to say the least. If we do look at some individual players on the team, I want to start with Marin. He was our player of the series from today. We said
he's the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, Jacoby was also quoted saying he's the best top laner. But I mean, seriously, an average of 91.
He's the best player. Okay.
He's the average of 91 CS over his lane opponent over the course of 3 games is insane.
Yep, it's absolutely crazy. It didn't manifest so much due to the short duration of the last game, but this is a guy who delivered that nearly 150 CS performance in the first game of this series over SOAS. And that's insane. We call the 100 CS threshold the Flame Horizon because that's where Flame used to go back on the CJ Blaze days. It's kind of his hallmark move was freezing waves, getting that big CS edge. And to do it twice in a best of 3, I mean, it's hard to do it once.
Right.
And to do it twice and to do it that consistently is a rare talent.
And it's strangely the way it affects the other team when all of a sudden you do see yourself, you see yourselves only getting 2 lanes of
a level
farm,
18 Renekton at 25 minutes. That does not have a good effect on
I don't care what champion we have in that lane against a Renekton.
And I love this guy so much because I like watching him from the very beginning, watching LCK, and you guys were talking about him when he first came in, and you're like, oh yeah, he's like the faker of the top lane. He's so good from solo queue. They scouted this guy, and then he had a lot of work that he had to put in.
Yeah.
And he's just evolved so much, and he's had all these unique things. Like I always focus so heavily on the home guard early buy thing, but I think it's just so cool and so unique about him. How he values this map pressure, and he's evolved into this really great shot caller as well. He just sees the game in an overall view now, which is something that's fairly rare among solo queue superstars. And it's taken a while for him to evolve, and he's the best now.
He's the best. Now the other set of players that I want to look at are EasyHoon and Faker in the mid lane. We saw them both play today. We saw the team use both of them to success, and we've spoken about SKT being an outlier in which they really can utilize both their subs and for very different reasons. We saw the change in pace when Faker came in and how it just kind of threw OG into this tailspin.
The classic Faker Rise flash into your face.
Just run at
over,
you.
like on cooldown whenever we're seeing
I feel like he's getting lazy. He was, is he just getting lazy? He's like, I'm just going to play Rise every time and point and click on you until you ban it away.
He comes in when they're up 2-0, game point. Why would he show anything new now? He doesn't have to show anything new. And until somebody has an answer for this Rise, he's not going to play anything else.
What's your answer for Rise? What do you think?
I have no. I don't know. I don't know
really?
Because I think
not if they're 1 game away. If they're 2-0 in the finals, you don't think he'll play something else?
Okay, fair enough. He probably will. All right, fair enough.
Let me get back to that Master Yi pick.
Yeah.
Give you a little bit of this.
Yeah, I honestly like the whole Rise scenario. We talked about that champion in general. Just it's a late game scaling champion that spikes early. I think was what Prolly said on the desk.
I was like, okay, buddy. But I mean, factually, his itemization does take a long time to develop. Certainly, he's a threat in a 1v1. But there are ways you can make plays against him. Obviously, he lacks mobility. I was surprised Faker took Ghost in that last game instead of TP. That tells me he's very confident about what he's doing. But when Rise pushes forward, you can punish that, right? And he was playing the lane against Peke particularly aggressively, but Origin didn't really bring the jungle and support into mid to help out, didn't try and create any teleport plays, so Faker went relatively unpunished despite going nuts in the mid lane in this last game.
Yeah, finally to close out thoughts on this series, I want to reflect on Origin's successes, one last time as they were a team, came out of Challenger. Yes, they're a bunch of veteran players, so we can't necessarily ignore that, but them as a team together coming through the summer, the summer series or summer split into playoffs, grabbing second, going through the gauntlet, making it 2 Worlds, and then finishing top 4.
They defied expectations at every turn, right? And especially in their group here at the World Championship, where pretty much everybody was like, okay, KT, LGD, these are the teams getting out. But they put up a hell of a performance. They played double teleport. It's nice for Origin that the SOAS Xpeke double teleport style just happened to be back at this World Championship, and they made very good shot calling around that.
And the scary thing is that this team has so much growth potential. Like there's the arc for this team, like they've just started still. There are a lot of things they can still clean up in their shot calling because having so many experienced players, they've got everybody adding information, and they don't really have, concrete calls before they're, moving to go to an objective, and so they still kind of figure it out as they're moving there. When these guys get down on the same page, and like if they establish a pecking order or something like that, this becomes a very scary team. And Niels
with only more time. It's
Niels
just, I don't
as
even know what to
the
say
rookie on the squad has
Crazy.
been like the most valuable player for the team is insane.
Yeah, he has been an absolute rock star. Now we know SKT moving on to the finals, which we were finally going to have our first repeat appearance in the finals to see if they can snag a second world championship. They are going to be going up against the winner of tomorrow's series, Fnatic versus KOO. Want to turn our attention towards that series because I do think that either of these teams will make for an interesting final against SKT and eclipse Origin in making it a tighter series than today's was.
Optimistic of you.
Well, thank you. Ever the optimist I am.
I think they'll start Faker in the finals, and I think that they'll just use Faker to counterpick.
Right.
It may be just as one-sided as a result.
Yes, but I want to look towards tomorrow's matchup in terms of looking at these two teams. I'm just making a statement about the finals, Monty, but I want to look at tomorrow's semifinal. So Fnatic and
Before
KOO.
they're on the SKT chopping block.
Yeah.
Well, they still have.
It doesn't
a light
matter.
ahead of
It doesn't
them.
matter. They both lose. That's just the fact.
No,
of the matter.
but I like that you're highlighting this because Fnatic versus KOO is going to be super fun. It's going to be really interesting because these are actually, as far as a lot of the other teams talking about their experiences scrimming both of these teams, we've had mixed reviews from, depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to some of the Europeans who are scrimming Fnatic, who I feel like maybe Fnatic used a lot, more in their scrims and were willing to show more than they were against like Korean teams because they were afraid, Korean teams are going to share or something like that. Some people are like, Fnatic's better, but a lot of the Korean teams are like, nah, KOO's much better. So, and the things that you can pull out, Monty touched on it on the analyst desk, the champion picks that we might see if it's a tight game, if each team starts to take early games in the series. The counter picks, maybe we see things like Lissandra coming out to try and counter some of these melee top laners. We see some wombo combos coming out.
It's exciting. It's
We
really
see-
exciting.
Hooney's Heimerdinger come out.
I would
Huh?
love to see Heimerdinger.
That's not giving anything away, by the way. He played it in Korea on stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Guerrillas support Vagar, some of these champions. That, he's been playing in solo queue. He's
Soraka?
the Soraka, one of his favorite champions.
How
So
have we not? We still haven't seen this Rock.
No, he hasn't even moused
I don't
over
even
it.
understand that.
He's supposed to at least hover over it.
Yeah, he's not trolling people in Champions Select correctly. One final thing, and I'm actually taking us back to the series today. You know what I found out, and there's a whole hubbub about it on the Reddit sphere. Yeah, guess what? No, it's no secret. Everybody knows about it. Easy
Getting
Hoon
close, guys.
played a solo queue game in the middle during that third game of the series. He wasn't even watching his team play today.
Dash, relax.
No, I feel like Easy Hoon just adopted Monty's mentality of like, I already know how this ends.
Faker slept through a game at MSI because he was tired from jet lag. So, what is Easy going to do?
It's true.
Why not just play a game?
But it also shows like the mentality, like a lot of the Korean teams with these experienced coaches, when they get here, we hear people talking about how, they spend a large majority of the time sleeping and then resting for these matches. That's also very important where, a lot of the teams are super nervous. They're trying to practice as much as possible and then they burn themselves out. He's taking it to another
Taking
level.
it easy. He's taking it. They're going to rest
He's just
for a whole
rest.
week here.
Well, exactly. They are going to rest for a
Yeah.
whole week because there will be no one to scrim against
I volunteer as
after
tribute.
tomorrow.
Let's get together.
I'll 1v1 Faker. Let's go.
They'll do Easy Hoon will just pick 4 random people from EU West and be like, all right, we're gonna scrim the rest of this.
I gotta stop us. We're going down some really extraneous paths here.
No, it's not extraneous. It is
Well-
important to talk about the fact that whoever wins tomorrow and SK Telecom literally have nobody to play against. All of the teams are on break right now.
Origin's like, we're out. Let's go party.
So, it's one of those situations where pretty much these guys are just going to be solo queuing for the next week. Scrims will be few and far between. You're obviously not going to scrim against your finals opponent. So EU challenger
It'll be an
teams.
interesting tactic.
It's
That's
your
all I
time.
have to say.
And that makes it hard to make up ground for other teams that are trying to make up ground between them and SKT. How are you supposed to do that if you don't have good practice?
All right, enough from us here. That does it for the day. Thanks all for joining us for Worlds tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow for our second semifinal matchup between Fnatic and the KOO Tigers. Good night.
Relax.
I'm relaxed.
And here we go, game 1 of the semifinals. South Korea's SK Telecom T1 versus Europe's Origin. Running away through the wards, Pop Summoner Teleport. It's a god! But the Slicing Maelstrom buying a lot of time. 1 for 1 in this fight. Mithy gets a knockup onto Bang, and look at the damage output! Undefeated still in the World Championship. Peke, meanwhile, turned into an egg, and the push comes in. But Amazing is here! The two-man knockup trades onto Bang. SKT 1 game away from their second World Championship final. Bangy's got aggro, Marin's got the damage. Channel to make sure it's all fine and dandy, even though he's not at the tournament, and a double kill for Marin. Flashing under his own turbo, Faker says, no thank you, I want this kill anyway. Make that 3 picked up. Oh, the long con 4v5. How about we push mid? How about they pick off Mithy as well? It's time for SKT to make it to the finals undefeated.